The room was silent, except for the soft sobs of Ada, who was seated in the corner with their 3 children. The grief in the air was almost suffocating, but not for the reason Ebuka had expected. From the crack in the door, Ebuka could see his brother Ike and his 3 closest friends gathered in his living room, their faces clouded with sorrow as they discussed the details of his burial. Ebuka sat on the bed, his heart pounding in sync with the rhythm of despair. He and his wife, Ada, had once lived comfortably. His business had flourished, bringing in enough for his family. Ada's boutique thrived in the corner of town, but as the economy took a turn for the worse, their fortune collapsed like a house of cards. Ebuka's business crumbled, and Ada's boutique too barely survived. Bills piled up, and soon they were drowning. Their children needed school fees. Food was scarce, and the bank was threatening to repossess their home. Ebuka had swallowed his pride, reaching out to his closest friends and even his only brother, men he had once supported when times were good, but instead of the help he hoped for, all he received were excuses. "I'm so sorry, Ebuka. Things are just tight right now," said Nonso, his friend. My brother, if only you had called me a few weeks ago. Now I'm knee-deep in commitments," replied Leke, his friend. "I really wish I could help, but you know how hard things are nowadays," sighed Ojuko. Even his only brother Ike, couldn't spare a penny. Ebuka, my business isn't doing well at all, but let me see what I can do in 2 weeks' time. Maybe something will come out then." 2 days passed, and Ebuka felt as if a dark cloud was consuming him from within. Sitting on the couch with Ada, he shared a radical plan. "I'm going to fake my death." Ada, shocked, dropped the cup of water she was holding. "What do you mean?" Ebuka explained his idea. Ada was hesitant, but seeing the pain in his eyes, reluctantly agreed. The day came. Ebuka lay motionless in their bedroom, his face expressionless as Ada made the calls. First, she rang Nonso. Mrs. Ebuka, you mean our dear friend is gone? Just like that? Oh, he was such a good man. I will come immediately. Please stay strong for the children," he said. Leke reacted similarly, his voice filled with regret. My friend, he helped me in so many ways. I'm coming over. We must give him a befitting burial." Ojuko echoed the sentiments, adding, "This is such a loss. A kind soul. I will be there as soon as I can." Lastly, she called Ike, Ebuka's only brother. Brother, Ebuka is no more," Ada said, struggling to keep her composure. Ike's voice quivered. "My dear brother, he did so much for me, brought me into the business world, gave me everything I have. I will make sure he's buried properly." The following day, Ike arrived first, dressed in somber clothes. The room was silent except for the soft sobs of Ada, who seated in the corner with their children. The grief in the air was almost suffocating, but not for the reasons Ebuka expected. From the crack in the door, Ebuka could see his brother Ike and his friends in his living room, their faces clouded with sorrow as they discussed the details of his burial. Ike sat with Ada and their 3 children, her eyes heavy with false grief. "We must give Ebuka a grand burial," Ike said. "I will send 1 million naira to cover some costs and arrange for a grave plot." The 3 friends looked at Ada, who was draped in mourning attire, and began to speak of Ebuka as if he had been buried. "Your husband was a good man," Mrs. Ebuka said Nonso, shaking his head sadly. "He always put others before himself. I'll give 2 million now, and after the burial, I'll send another 1 million naira for you and the kids." Ike nodded in agreement. "He supported me when my wife was sick. I'll also give 2 million naira today and send 1 million naira after the burial. He deserves nothing less." Ochuku sighed deeply, the grief evident in his eyes. "I will take care of the coffin. Ebuka deserves a good send-off. I will also give 2 million now and 2 million naira after. We owe him that much." The pain in Ebuka's heart deepened as he lay motionless in the room, listening to the outpouring of generosity for his burial. The irony was as bitter as it was painful. Where was this help when he had been alive? When he had begged them to help to keep his children in school, to put food on the table, to stop the endless calls from credit. Desperation had been met with excuses and platitudes. Yet now, in death, or what they thought was death, they were really ready to give everything. The conversation shifted. Nonso stood up and motioned to others. "Let's go see him. We need to take his body to the morgue. It's better than embalming him here." They began to walk toward the bedroom, their shoes heavy on the wooden floor. Ebuka's heart raced. He couldn't take it anymore. He got up from the bed, his body shaking with the weight of his emotions. Just as they reached the door, he opened it, standing before them in tears, very much alive. The shock on their faces was immediate. Ike, his brother, stumbled backward, his eyes wide in disbelief. Ebuka," he stammered. "You're alive?" The friends stood frozen, speechless as they stared at the man they had thought was no more. Ebuka's voice cracked as he spoke, his eyes filled with tears. "I am alive. I have been alive this whole time, begging for help, while you all looked the other way. You were ready to give millions to bury me. But where were you when I needed you to leave?" The silence in the room was unbearable. Ike lowered his head, unable to meet his brother's gaze. "Ebuka, we didn't know it was this bad." "Didn't know?" Ebuka said, his voice growing louder, his anger spilling out. "I told you, I begged you. I was drowning, Ike. I couldn't pay for my children's school fees. Ada's business has collapsed and we couldn't afford basic groceries. I reached out to you. I didn't ask for millions. I just needed something enough to get by, to keep going. But all I got were excuses. Nonso stepped forward, his hands raised in a gesture of apology. Ebuka, we didn't realize how desperate things had gotten. We thought you would bounce back like you always did. Ebuka's tears flowed freely now. Bounce back? I was at the edge, and you didn't even see it. You didn't want to see it. And now, here you are, willing to spend millions to bury me. But you wouldn't lift a finger to keep me alive. Leke spoke, his voice trembling. We thought we had time, Ebuka. We thought you were strong enough to handle it. We never imagined it was this serious. That's the problem, Ebuka replied bitterly. You assumed I would always be strong. But even the strongest man needs help sometimes. Even I needed you. Ike, his brother, finally spoke, his voice filled with regret. You're right, Ebuka. We failed you. Personally, I failed you. I was so caught up in my own life, in my struggles, that I didn't stop to think about what you were going through. Ochuko, who had been silent until now, walked over to Ebuka, his face heavy with guilt. What can we do now, Ebuka? How can we make this right? Ebuka wiped his tears, his body still trembling from the rawness of his emotions. You can start by being there now. I don't need grand gestures or millions for a funeral. I need your help while I'm alive. Ada and I are struggling, and we need our friends. We need our family. The room was still. Ike stepped closer, tears brimming in his own eyes. Ebuka, I promise I'll be there for you from now on. I won't wait until it's too late again. Whatever you need, I'm here. Nonso nodded, wiping away his own tears. We are with you, Ebuka. We should have been with you all along. Ada, who had been standing silently by the door, finally spoke, her voice steady but filled with emotions. We don't want your guilt. We don't want your apologies. We just will appreciate your support while we are still here. Leke walked over to Ada, his head bowed in shame. We were wrong, but if you would let us, we will help now. We don't want to make the same mistake again. Ebuka looked at his brother and friends, the men who had once stood by him during the good times, the men who failed him in his darkest hour. He saw the regrets in their eyes, the realization that they had almost lost him, not to death, but to despair. I don't need your millions for a funeral, Ebuka said quietly. I just need your friendship, your loyalty while I'm still here. They all nodded in agreement, their faces softened with understanding. As the weight of the moment settled in, they gathered around Ebuka and Ada, no longer planning a funeral, but planning how to help their friend rebuild his life. Life is fragile, and true friendships are tested not in times of celebration, but in moments of struggle. help and support should be given while someone is alive to appreciate it, not after they are gone. The love and loyalty mean standing by someone in their darkest hours, not just showing up to mourn them when they are no longer here. Little acts of kindness can save a soul. There are a lot of Ebukas in our cycles. Do not turn away from someone who has swallowed his pride to share his challenges with you. Who is handicapped? You may not know if just a drop of water from your finger is all the fellow needs at that time. That drop of water can revive a desperate soul. Small actions have a big impact. Even a small amount of help can be life-changing for someone going through a tough time. It's not always about giving large sums. Sometimes simply being there or providing moral support can make all the difference. Don't assume someone is always strong. Just because someone has always been resilient doesn't mean they don't need help. Even the strongest people face breaking points. True friendship is proven in hard times. Real friends don't turn away or make excuses during one's darkest hour. They step up and offer whatever support they can. Regret is a painful burden. It's better to help when someone is in need than to live with the regret of not acting when you could have. Regret for opportunity lost can be one of the hardest things to bear. Value people more than ceremonies. Grand funerals of tributes are meaningless if you didn't care for someone when they were alive. It's better to give love and support when it can actually make a difference. We need to be more aware of the struggles of those around us. Often, people don't openly share their burdens, and we miss the signs of their distress. Regular check-ins and genuine concern can prevent someone from feeling abandoned. Actions speak louder than words. Apologies and promises mean little if they aren't backed by real, tangible action. It's not about what people say they will do, but what they actually do when one is in need. As we all know, a friend in need is a friend indeed. This story is to create awareness about the state of depression. Some of our relatives and friends may be in this state. Some, like Ebuka, ended it all at that point. But Ebuka didn't give room to such. He gave it a last hit by putting his friends and brother to test. You may not know how bad things are, even for your brother or closest friend, if you give excuses. Depression is real. Show concern, show love, show empathy. Thank you for watching my story. Comments are welcomed in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and share with your loved ones. This is African Tales by Ewa. Please share with me what you love about the story and what you learned from the story. Appreciate your time spent on my channel. I do not take your support for granted until I come your way with another interesting story. Bye for now.